I can also ask, shall I promote Mr. Blackwell to be able to talk? Or have him raise his hand as needed?
Whatever you think's good, Nicole.
Yeah, he can absolutely be part of this.
Okay, I'm going to hope the technology works. Mr. Blackwell, if you'll unmute when you wish to speak, that should work. Okay, and of course our purpose is to discuss the Cuscowilla history.
Yes, the history of the, Nicole, have you gotten all the documents that Kathleen has sent us?
I don't know if I have. Was it in that email?
Yeah, there should be, there's a document that looks like this. It's the 1834 1833 civil court case for the Supreme Court. So there's a whole bunch of them. There's also the Leitner plat that looks like this. There are a couple, each ones of these are attachments that were at the bottom that Kathleen has sent us. And then there's also an Exhibit A. And I'm pretty sure the stuff that has to do with us is all described in like parcel 13. Well, it's actually the bottom of parcel 4.
Well, that was some time ago, Professor Nicole. These are land records that I found.
Okay, yeah, I think I saw those.
Related to the
11/4/21 is the date I have.
Yeah, yeah, so about 2 months ago, yeah.
Right. So they're in there. So I've printed all these out. I've called this stuff. So most of this, it's been in, well, Micanopy is 1821. Arredondo's 1859. And this area seems to fall in between those two time periods.
Okay.
But it's mentioned, Bartram's mentioned it, as well as it's in Swanton's book, which is this big giant.
Yeah, we talked about that one last time I saw you.
Right.
I gotta find mine someplace.
But I think we should base our cheeky and stuff on this. And
okay.
Also, I've put out a word to some people in the tribe, and I know you have.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that on Facebook. I know Robert Rosa said that he had reached out to you guys, or you had reached out to him, one or the other.
I think so. I think Kathleen has.
Well,
wait, not Kathleen, Cynthia, excuse me.
Yeah. I do know Mr. Rosa, but I had not contacted him about this. He was at some public meetings. I will say, I did hear from Dr. Chris Monaco, and he is able to offer to read over any text, to do final edits. He's not likely to participate in any meetings though.
Okay.
For Bruce, if you're not aware, Dr. Monaco is a UF history professor, and he started a group in Micanopy, the Trust for Historic Forts and Battlefields, and he has authored a book on the Second Seminole War.
Okay, do you know why I'm here?
No, I know you're part of Friends of Cuscowilla.
Oh, yeah. Mike Hill suggested that I could get on this.
Well,
Good.
Great. How's Mike doing?
He's very busy.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so you mentioned Robert Rosa. One question I have, when you mentioned the chickpea design, Gwen, in an email, Dr. Monaco had noted that in fact the local indigenous people lived in log cabins, not in the kind of chickees that are part of the Everglades area now.
Right, because I think that is from the Creek tradition. And I think we should go back and look in the records, because I'm pretty sure there's information there that we can find and make sure that we have an accurate, we know we can go back to Cowkeeper and Bartram, that's 1776 approximately, and 1702, Cowkeeper is mentioned, but that whole area was considered the cattle ranch for St. Augustine, for the garrison. So it's been connected to St. Augustine in this area for a long time.
Yeah, so to address what you just said, Kathleen, I had talked to Gwen about this the last meeting we had in November. And my position is we should just be informative about, hey, when we, you know, chickie building is something that kids can do. It's something that, you know, everyone can be involved in and say, hey, this might not have been, you know, a staple of this area, but it's a staple of the Seminole tribe. Okay. So we can, you know, be informative in that way and then still build it, because if it's something you can build and then see the outcome, that's always a positive thing.
Oh, I agree. We just maybe could have some interpretation that the historic structure was different than this modern version.
Yeah, that's why I want to refer to this guy. Brent Wiseman had said that this would be our best resource for what's called a square ground and also the Council of the Oaks. I truly feel that because those oaks have been there for so long, that there's some history that they've got in it, that stuff's just starting to come out. There's a lot of historical documents, and the problem that this area kind of falls in between East Florida and West Florida and whoever's in the area now. So we've got all the documents from the Levy grant, and this is part of the Arredondo and Levy grant, right where they abut each other. But that stuff, that goes way back. So it ties into the railroad history that, because that's the only, that Micanopy's 1821. Our area here in Arredondo doesn't, and it's supposed to be the first one in Alachua County. That's not until 1859. So there's a lot of trade and stuff going on that I really think that we need to address and not start after the Second Seminole Wars. Do you agree? There's a lot of history. The Cades complex, Cades Pond complex, which is the whole Paynes Prairie Basin and Orange Lake and Orange Creek, that's all tied into what's called the Cades Pond complex. And that that's a tongue twister. That goes back, I think, 12,000 years, 12 to 15. We've also got to take into consideration Lemoyne came through and did a lot of drawings. Some of those are considered the quote unquote, the most accurate of what's going on. But there's a lot of stuff that happens in between 1565 and 1821. So, and I just think we need to do as good a history timeline as possible. So,
yeah, and this is some of the stuff like with the where you're picking up and I dropped off with the Patano people talking about that period, especially 1763, the end of the, you know, the French Indian War, the secession of Florida. All the rest of the Tamaqua people got on a boat with the Spanish, but no doubt some of those stragglers got kind of into the Seminole tribe.
Right, exactly.
But yeah.
And they also, when the English gave Florida back, a lot of those people came back from Cuba. I'm finding more and more accounts of people being moved out. I'm very interested in the 1763 and 1764 evacuation of St. Augustine. That actually has lists of everybody. And that's what I was saying. There's documents coming out in February that all these things have been digitized and paleographers have translated it and stuff. So there's a lot of documentation that I know ties into our area. So, and that's, my field school I did in undergraduate was Tatham Mound. We were looking for Osceola's last sand using Prince's second Seminole War diaries. And we found a mound that was contacted by DeSoto. So that was all paid for by Piers Anthony. He's a science fiction writer. There's a book, Tatham Mound, that's written about it, but is more historically fiction because he's a science fiction writer, but it does follow somewhat of a historical line. Then I worked up at Itchtuckney Springs. There's a Spanish mission that dates from 1608 to 1656. Excavations on the Franciscan Frontier is the book that came from that. So I've been looking at this for a really long time, and a lot of documents that we didn't know about are just appearing. So that's why I want to do a really, really good job. We've got a lot of resources. So I want to tie them all into that. I've got a lot of the books that maybe we should have in our interpretive center to help guide people along the way. But I also think maybe we should try to work on doing something web-based, so it's got a place for it to live.
Okay. Last time, was it this group we talked about doing something similar, like the city of Gainesville or the Matheson, how they, are like, call into this number and we'll give you a guided tour? Do you know what I'm talking? Was it this group?
I think that I've talked to you about that, but also a QR code, because I think they have those. Kathleen, aren't those over at Sweetwater, the QR codes?
We did discuss at the Historical Commission that there are some tours by phone in the Paynes Prairie and Micanopy area, and I have not yet checked with our Visit Gainesville staff to find out if there's more bandwidth, if that's the right term.
Okay.
Space for additional numbers, but I will do that. I think that would be good. And also just a question in terms of the Cuscowilla site, some of this really needs to be written at the level for children and youth, right?
Right.
We need to
my certification was elementary ed, but I actually started my mom taught out Santa Fe for 40 years. And being a special person myself, I teach in a different way. So I really would like it to be accessible. I'd also like to use Nicole's resources to have it actually be 3 languages, in English and in Spanish, but also being in, I'm not sure what the correct term for the Seminole language, but either that. I know my friend David Webb, he works down in Bonita Springs. He's CEO and director for Wonder Gardens. He's an excellent resource. He also is a Native American dancer, so has all of his full regalia, and he is actually related to the tribe. His grandmother's part of the Stokes family, and Ding Darling was his grandmother's area. So he's an incredible resource, and he's also an artist.
Yeah, in terms of resources, I also have a friend that's a flute maker.
Okay.
And he does, for kids, he does like little PVC pipe flutes, which is fantastic for the children because they're cheap, they're easy to make. And so I was thinking with the cheeky, you know, that being an activity that doesn't, you know, can take some time.
I wonder how hard it would be for, excuse me for interrupting, using instead of PVC. I know that's pretty cheap because we can get like a 15-foot piece for not so much. I've got a resource for bamboo.
Yeah, I could get some to him and see if he could use it.
Okay, yeah. Do you know George Tortorelli?
I don't.
Okay, he's also a flute maker.
My friend probably knows him. That's a small
I'm
kind
sure
of clique of people. Yeah.
Yeah. And George would be another person that we could probably have come and show people how to either play the flute or so I envision us also where the two buildings were, the building that we were going to use as an interpretive center, have the chickie there. Yeah. And then that gives the kids a covered area if they have to get out of the pool. And that will, if we get the cheeky done earlier than later, they can use that for the camps. And I know that's one of our main goals, is to have this area available for kids for camps.
You know, another thing we should do is get a list of like our contacts on a one sheet. Like, yes, here's the people we know, here's their email or phone or however, and here's their resources, because we both know enough people that we're probably doing some overlap. I totally
agree. And I think we have a lot of cross-pollination because I am a Santa Fe baby. So a lot of the faculty, their kids have done stuff. So we have resources there. I have all 4 of the Master Naturalist badges. I've taught. We've also got all of our resources in the county and working at the Florida Museum of Natural History. So I feel, like you said, we have a lot of mutual resources, and I've lived in the community since I was 5 months old. So I've got 62 years of, my sociogram is black. It's not slightly, it's all filled in. So I feel we've got a lot of potential. Bruce, what is your interest?
Well, I was just sitting in to see what was going on with this group. I judge you're talking about the interpretive building and cheeky building at the Cuscowilla campsite.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And there are other people. I'm just a director of Friends of Cuscowilla. Okay. And there are other people who are more involved. I believe there's been some good funding for the interpretive center. There's some much funding come in? Yeah.
That's what I'm pretty sure we've got some funding coming in that got approved at the last meeting, the county commission meeting.
Good. Yeah, I can't say offhand who the person is on Friends of Cuscowilla that's guiding us through. One of the people involved quite a bit, I think, is Cynthia Holland, who is the president.
I've been working with.
Oh, okay. Yeah. In fact, I sent her the information on today's meeting, but apparently she didn't have time to join in.
Yeah, she may be busy with other stuff. I'm helping with the wildflower garden that's going to be out in front by the flagpole.
Wonderful. So, well, I'm mainly involved in, right now, I'm head of the membership committee, and we have to start gearing up to be fundraising again, because as you probably know, last summer, none of the kids had to pay to go to camp. And we hope we can do that again this year.
Yes.
But it's going to be more of a stretch because this year there will be overnight camp, which is quite a bit more expensive. So
Totally. So I think we should, there are a lot of people here in our community, and this is a really good time to fundraise because it's before people have to do their minimum distributions and also tax deductible donations and stuff. So I think something very simple. A lot of people are already in the contact list, but either a simple email or maybe a card would be a very effective thing. I don't want to overwhelm our community because there are a lot of people that do stuff. So what do you think, Kathleen and Nicole?
Well, the Friends of Cuscowilla is the fundraising group. The Historical Commission per se cannot get involved in fundraising unless we get a directive from the county commission, and then there's a specific policy that governs that. But I agree that the Friends organization should get the word out as soon as possible. And you know, it's winter now, but it won't last long, and then kids will be ready to go to camp.
Our CEO is very interested in Cuscowilla. He's a relatively new CEO. He's just been here 100 days. But he was right at the beginning when the golf tournament happened, and there was a contribution in the name of the Friends of Cuscowilla, $5,000 contribution. And he would like to get somebody up here to talk about Cuscowilla. I believe Lexi Green is on tap to come up, but we've been shut down quite a bit because of the COVID, and you know, we're not allowing outside groups to come in and outside speakers to come in and that sort of thing. So it depends on that when we can get people in here again to speak.
Right.
I don't know who runs your social media, but it would be great to have a donate button on your Facebook page. Anytime I have like a birthday or an anniversary and they're like, hey, do you want to, you know, create a donation? And sometimes, like, I mean, my friend does, you know, the local radio station. He gets, you know, $1,500 every time, wow, you know, from just local people that are like, hey, it's my birthday. I don't need the money. Come give it to the Friends of Cuscowilla.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's a very good idea. So I'm not sure Bruce, you'll take note of that, and I'll also mention that Cynthia. And I feel we should have a little tiny bit more of a presence than just when events are going off. That the area is so conducive to outdoor concerts and other things like that. The ball court has already been resurfaced. We already have a mobile, the county does, the Royal We, that mobile, what is it? It's like a whole DJ booth. You can do a whole concert with that.
I think that's the city of Gainesville.
Okay.
It's a stage for performing arts.
Okay.
That's the city.
One of the things right at the beginning that we were very focused on was to make sure that this did not just become a few weeks in the summer to have a camp, but to be utilized on a more year-round basis. And once we get the mess hall and kitchen open, it'll be a great place for people to have business retreats and so forth where things can be held. And that was one of the things. And teacher training, things like teacher training. It's a wonderful teacher training place.
Yeah, I consider the whole area an outdoor classroom.
Yes, yes, yeah.
So,
I work. I don't, sorry, Bruce.
No, I was just going to say, I worked hard at various meetings with the county commission to get them to go through it and purchase this in the first place. It wasn't universally wanted, but we did it anyhow. And what the surprising part was that how much money they kicked in for it. And now they just added another $1.2 million.
Right. And I think we should update those infrastructures. I went to camp there in 70, 71, and 72 as a day camp at YMCA. So I'm familiar with the facilities, and we need to upgrade some stuff. I think some public restrooms would be one of the first things we need to consider. That would make it more useful for schools to come out. Because I know all fifth graders go through the curriculum. Well, actually, it's fifth graders go out to Camp Crystal, but they also go out in eighth grade for like a how to get along course. So that's also something that we could be able to use. And also, plein air paint outs, the native plant people, we've got so many resources here at UF. Like I said, I feel there's a lot of cross-pollination possibilities.
And I'm just very excited about this whole Cuscowilla. I was at the point of not taking on, I had said, no more committees, no more anything. But I had suggested to the county commission that they encourage the setup of a citizen group to aid in the camp. And when it was set up, then they appointed me a director. So I'm on one more thing.
Yeah. Well, I think we should be able to, we need to use our resources and our knowledge that people have, we've done different stuff. We need to bring all of our resources to the table. I agree with you, Nicole. I think what we should do is all send a list. Do we need to send it to you, Kathleen, of all of our resources so people can actually have all those resources available? Because this is public property. It belongs to the county. This is for the kids of our county. And, I just feel very strongly about education.
And I think perhaps Cynthia should make a point of inviting as public guests or something, you people, for example, to our meetings, and you might have things that you hear and things that you want to say, so there is that information going back and forth.
Right.
And at Santa Fe, we've been attempting to work across like departments and work with the city and the school board and just do things like this collaboratively, because there's so many people that want to be involved in things like this. There's a woman that I work with who does, kind of food and culture. She would love to do, be involved.
Right.
There's two professors I work with at UF that are in ecology. They would love to have their students be involved.
Like I said, I feel this is a great outdoor teaching area. I've worked at the museum for 12 years. I'm a trained docent in the natural teaching area that is behind the museum. And we have almost all the same systems in ecology down there. And also at Santa Fe, you've got that's the only place you can get zoo training. So having zoology kids come out there, it's a huge camp. A lot of them want to even camp, with tents and stuff.
It's funny you mentioned the zoo because they invited me in April to do a Native American kind of storybook thing. So I'll be doing that for the kids. Something else I can do at Cuscowilla. But also the person that I'm working with said, hey, I can bring the animals to wherever you need me to bring the animals.
They've brought them to the museum quite a few times. I was also thinking, I'm going to talk to one of my friends that's a beekeeper and seeing about having beehives out there, because that's another, I'm going to have a wildflower garden out there.
Oh, nice.
We need pollinators. And
that's true.
Our pollinators are so endangered right now that because of the climate change, plants are coming out at a different time than the butterflies are hatching out. So there's populations of butterflies have fluctuated greatly. So I think we've got, like I said, quite a few different resources that we can tap. This is one of the things that I've got that Mallory O'Connor gave me. When I was out at Santa Fe, when I did graduate school in 2000, this is one of the exhibits. This is the Great Alachua Savannah. It's got a visual history of Payne's Prairie. This has a really good history that goes all the way back to Cade's Complex. And we've got Brent's article is on the Cade's Complex. So that is the latest information that we've got. And as people are developing, stuff it's getting obliterated. They're not even leaving cultural stratum. They're going all the way down to Lime Rock. And there's a lot of history here that we need to preserve. That's why I'm so ecstatic that we've got Cuscowilla, that chunk of property. Plus, Kathleen was kind enough to go through all the historical ancient records and print out all the stuff. I'm pretty sure we can go back to 1818 on most of those documents. That's the earliest one I can find. So.
Well, I can mention with regards to the wildflower garden, Jim Notestein is a former county commissioner who owns a nursery.
Oh, wonderful.
And he even has challenged the Florida Native Plant Society for people to try to propagate Rexia or Meadow Beauty from seed.
Okay.
And I thought maybe that's a project.
We could have we have so much space out there that I totally think that we've got plenty of room to do that. I know there's another group that's down in Micanopy that's working on a couple of the wildflowers. If you actually work very hard on just cultivating that one, you're able to get a lot of seeds. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm very into that. I'm also was a landscape specialist at the Florida Museum of Natural History. So I have a Bachelor of Arts in Anthropology and Archaeology, but I put together the monarch migration that goes from our coast of Florida all the way to Mexico. And so there are two different migrations of the monarch butterfly. We have one population that comes down from Canada all the way to Mexico on the East Coast. And we also have one coming down on the West Coast. So, and then they all go to one section of Mexico, and that's where you go and see all of the microbursts. I think it's in Michoacan, I'm not sure, but there are the resources of the butterfly rainforest, because we've got the largest amount of lepidopterists. Those are people who study butterflies and moths in the world. So, and we also have the bat house. I think having a bat house there would actually help with the ecology, because it would cut down on the mosquitoes there, because there are some standing swamps there in the area. So, you know, we've got our resources. I think we just need to put all of our ducks in a row and use some of our historical resources. You know, we've got an incredible history here.
Also, if we want to have a dress rehearsal, you know, I got those kids that are 10. So I can offer up my kids to be like, hey, what do you understand? What do you not understand? Hey, do you want to go plant this flower, this seed? You know, we can do that.
Because a lot of kids don't even understand that an oak tree can be grown from an acorn.
Yeah.
So because they're online so much, and it's also really good for kids to be outside. It's healthier for them. So,
and just to be clear, this Cuscowilla is owned by the county?
The property is owned by the county. Lexi Green is the manager. She's employed by the county. The Citizen Support Organization is a nonprofit with volunteer leaders. And Gina Peebles, who's the assistant county manager, she provides administrative help to the nonprofit as well, I believe.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just brainstorming what Gwen said. I would go out there for so many things. I mean, I would happily, I love that property. You know, location's not bad. Parking's great.
Exactly.
Yeah, if they plan stuff, man, I would be there.
And I also think this is something, we don't have anything on the south end of the county. We've got Morningside, which is on our east side. And there's, like you said, this is a great resource. I think we ought to work on getting better Wi-Fi out there, because that'll make it more valuable for groups to come out with. All the technology seems to need better Wi-Fi. That's on a corridor that should be getting money because of the enterprise zones. Because like 441 is one of our first original roads. It also went by Wire Road. So you can find Wire Road up by Olino. And then it also appears on the records down here in Alachua County, so farther south. Bruce, can I ask the name of the CEO, please? I think you just muted yourself.
There you go.
Kevin Ahmadi, A-H-M-A-D-I. A-H-M-A-D-I, Kevin Ahmadi.
Okay. What's his background? Is he finance or what?
He's the CEO. He's head of the whole.
Yes, but what is his background?
It's OCAMIC. For 17 years, he led other CCRCs in the southwestern Florida. He's just come up here to run ours.
Okay. So he's the new, he's part of OCAMIC?
Yes, he's the CEO of OCAMIC.
Okay. So does he know our ex-Governor Graham?
Oh, Governor Graham, sure, lives right here at OCAMIC.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. And he's very pro nature and outdoors and stuff like that.
Oh, yes.
So I would really like to invite a lot of the residents, when we are able to open up, have the whole bus from OCAMIC to come out, especially now that the front parking lot has been paved. Mm-hmm. So we have a 50 slot parking lot that's out there, as well as beds. We're going to get winged elm and live oaks from the arborist.
Good. And it's always good to make a trip down there, because you can't avoid going across the street and going to Blue Highway. At least I can't avoid it.
Right, exactly.
Well, I certainly understand we want shade trees in the parking area, but I also wanted to mention that one thing Jim Notestein told me as we were talking, the state tree, which is one of the palms, is actually important for native bees, he said.
The sable palm?
Yes. And
okay.
he, I think, has some of those, and he may be willing to donate some plant material, but somebody from the citizen support organization would probably need to talk to him. And he does like to talk.
I understand. I've known Jim for a while. I had my deli downtown from 90 to 96. So I'm nice to see. I'm pleased to see that people are still with us and are doing such great things.
Okay, so, well, he'll look forward to talking with you, Gwen.
Okay, wonderful. Because the Seminoles actually use the sable pine in making the dolls, but also there are a couple of other applications, probably with filtering Kunti for the basically it's cornstarch powder, right? So I'm very good friends with Ron Chesser, who worked at he's retired from the Museum of Natural History 40 years. And he's one of the people that did a lot of the miniature dioramas and stuff. And I'm hoping that maybe we can get some stuff out of storage that's from the old Discovery Room that was in the basement of Dickinson Hall. A lot of those things are still there. I'm hoping we can not have to reinvent the wheel. And speaking of also food, we have that grill at the back. There's a giant grill. So doing smoked mullet and venison and pork and beef.
Yeah, local stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. I've been working on all the different foods.
I'd love to have one of those Lemoyne engravings of the barbecue right there by that grill to be like, here's, what a snake on it looked like and a gator. Right. Yeah, that would be great.
I think that, and a lot of that stuff, if we do outdoor paneling, I think we can go sprinkle it around so I see people pulling up to the interpretive center and getting out their brochure if they're going to go identify trees, look at the wildflower garden, look at the animals that you can see out there, what the area looked like historically. We could have a bunch of different routes that you could go down. So it becomes relevant.
Kids scavenger hunt. So if they have children, they have their brochure and here's your kids' ones.
Yeah. And I'm very good at doing that. I find that the way curriculum is going now, it is student-centered. You basically go with what they're interested in. And if you're really interested in something, you will dive deep in to the deep end and go and learn all about everything. So I really think we've got a lot of resources there. We're right next to the University of Florida, Lake Wahlberg. There's historical pictures that we're being able to find. I think it's almost worthy of a Bartram stop, or there's one in Micanopy, but we stayed at the town of Cuscowilla. That's why I was so dead set on it has to be Cuscowilla. Mary Helen asked me, what do you want it to be named? Cuscowilla. So, and a lot of that is going back to historical documents. We've got to tie it all together.
Yeah. All right. What's our next steps?
Well,
what do we have a timeline with Cynthia, or is that who we need to get with next to see what she's looking at? Do we want to bring her our ideas so far of, here's what we're thinking for the interpretive center?
I've shared all of this with Cynthia. So I think all of us, we need to get all on board. Like I said, send out a donation card to the people that already donated to the Friends of Cuscowilla the first time. Teddy and I donated chocolate. I really think we should try to work on having an outdoor event out there as soon as we can when we get the all clear, hopefully in May or late April. I'm hoping everything with all of our variants, although in the last 2 years, we've mastered Zoom and other technologies, so.
Well, again, we're not tasked, the subcommittee is not tasked with the fundraising. I think we can offer suggestions, but we do need to create some kind of report on the interpretive history. And I can put together notes that I've taken today. You're going to create your contact lists. We can have the entire historical commission at least review it at the next meeting. I don't know that they would have to take formal action.
Excuse me for interrupting. I remember at the last meeting that Ashley Wood was very interested in the cabin.
The Boy Scout cabin.
That gate is now opened. That cabin has sort of been cleaned up. That's another thing that we've got but that would be a great resource for the Boy Scouts. That's a historical cabin. So
well, it's going to be the work of the people that are completing the renovations, and then the camp director, I think, to share that information with the public. But we can let Ashley know, you know, for planning. But
I think he would be a great resource to get at least get oral histories from people that went there and used that. I went to camp there in the 70s. I knew nothing about that cabin at all. And we drove in that gate. We drove right past that. I don't remember ever seeing that at all. So, and I know that that cabin, what's it go back to 36 or something? Do you know when the cabin was built, Kathleen?
No, I don't.
I think it goes back to 36 is what I, from on the top of my head, remember.
Okay. Well, you know, I think you all know, and Mr. Blackwell, I'll let you know, my keen interest in history is the New Deal. So of course that would be during the New Deal.
Exactly.
There were some camps of Civilian Conservation Corps workers, and if you say cabin, it makes me think of that group.
You know what? The cabin, now that I think about it, looks a lot like the stuff up in Olino. Okay. And that's that same time period.
Yeah, and I think they did work at the Austin Cary Forests as well. There was a camp.
And Ravine State Gardens. Yeah, that was 1934 for Ravine State Gardens. Yeah.
I haven't done extensive research on Alachua County, but I think there was a group in Eastern County. But the Olino State Park, the Goldhead Branch State Park, I've researched quite a lot. But
by the way, I'm Bruce and not Mr. Blackwell. Mr. Blackwell's my father. I haven't gotten old enough to be called that. I'm only 80.
I will do my best to remember. At my age, sometimes I forget. Thanks, Bruce.
So I think working on the contact list. Yeah, Kathleen, you'll send both. Will you send all of us minutes of the meeting?
Bruce, if you'd like minutes, you could either put your email in the chat, or you can email me at kpagan@alachuacounty.us. It might be towards the early middle next week. I have some other tasks I need to turn my attention to, but yes, by next Tuesday or Wednesday, I should be able to send, and maybe sooner. I mean, it's not extensive. And I think the cold weather is going to keep me inside quite a bit in the near term.
Yeah, it's going to be 22 tomorrow, or very cold for the market. I'm like,
yeah,
I'll bundle up because it's supposed to be 60 when we're done. So, Nicole, do you have anything else to add?
No, I was just thinking about the next thing for our commission, our historic commission, is I was going to work on the plaques around, and Cuscowilla might not be a bad place to have one. Might be a good place to have the Seminole one.
Already waved at him.
Okay. So yeah, I'll keep brainstorming that, and when we talk some more, we'll talk about that as well, if that's an option.
Right. Do you all think you need another meeting before February 14th, the regular historical commission?
No,
no, thank you.
Okay.
I got to work on my chocolate.
Yeah, and thanks for meeting today. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and thank you. And I'm pretty wide open as far as having a meeting. The Zoom makes it much easier. You don't have to worry about commuting downtown and then parking. So are we going to meet? Our next meeting will be virtual, or?
I'm going to check with the chair, Karen Kirkman, early next week. If we want to take any formal action at the meeting about the school board matter, then we would have to have an in-person quorum. But you know, if that's not needed, I don't know of any other work right now that would require in person. But the parking, I'm gathering information, and it will be a little different.
Yeah. So does parking not stop at 5? It goes until 7 now?
It goes until 8 o'clock, I believe. The city will be enforcing the parking.
So nice to all our downtown businesses.
Yeah.
We do.
Sorry, an old score just emerged.
But they will reimburse people that are meeting participants.
Okay.
That's right. You'll have to download an app. You'll have to pay in advance when you arrive at the parking garage, and then you can be reimbursed. That's the way that will happen.
Okay. Yes. I think because of our Bruce, I want to urge you to go ahead and talk to Cynthia and send out a request for donations, because you know, UFT does their fundraisers what, 3 or 4 times a year. So this community is very used to being fundraised, and a lot of it
at the thing you're doing, the market thing you're doing. It'd be great there to have a stack of just like cards, or hey, that would be great too.
Good idea. I usually do the word of mouth, and anybody else that you know that has a nursery and has plants, because I want to make sure what I based the butterfly garden on was my master naturalist project, which was all the butterflies that are here in this region. And Jarrett Daniels was the one that reviewed my project. We could apply for a grant from wildflowers communities and stuff, but a lot of them, they want the garden basically established. So I think we can establish it, make it great, and then get funding for that. And I also plan that to be a teaching resource and entertainment for small people.
And Bruce, if you could also ask the powers that be if they could get a donation button on Facebook.
Oh, yes.
That would be like, that is such a great way. Like I said, the people I know, I don't want to say UFT, but whoever does like Civic Media Center. Like I said, my buddy raises hundreds and thousands of dollars just repeatedly because that's his thing. We all know it's his thing. So when it's his birthday, when it's everything, I send him money.
I have to be very careful here at Okamic because people do not like being constantly barraged with appeals from nonprofits. I got into trouble last year when I sent out actually hard copies to everybody here asking for funds for the summer camp, and some people pushed back, and it did not. Yes, I got 18 people who contributed, so it was worthwhile.
Yeah, and I understand that, having been in 19 different camps myself. So I've done fundraising for Dance Alive. I helped create an entity that's called Bio Florida. There's, you know, I work with a lot of artists, and that's the other thing. We've got a lot of artists in our community. I know that there is a call out to artists for art to be put in out there at Cuscowilla. They need a sign. that will show where Cuscowilla is.
Oh, great. I have a girlfriend. She'd love it.
There's a call out to artists. Have people keep their eyes out. It should go out. The curator, she's an outdoor curator, happened to be there when I was measuring for the garden. So I got to talk to her. She does a lot of outdoor murals. I really think that putting together our contact lists, our resources.
Yeah, my people are already in Micanopy. They'd love it. Yeah, and like Bruce, when I was talking about fundraising, the beauty of social media is you don't feel nearly as pressured. You don't feel the pressure. It's like a total, like you're not hardcore selling. It's like, hey, this thing. Also, it'd be a great time with in March with spring break coming up. That would be a great time to be like, hey, parents, you know, we want these kids to come out here this summer. Let's, you know, get this on your page to fundraise.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I'm actually, when I hang up from here, I have a phone call due to Cynthia. So I'll be talking to Cynthia. And your discussion about the wildflowers makes me, you know, I have a lot in my past and a lot of memories. Reminds me of a friend, Lady Bird Johnson. And every time I see the
wildflower project due to her.
Yes. She was a customer of ours in the art gallery and antique shop that we had. She used to buy antique quilts. And one year she said, "You probably wonder why I buy these quilts every year." No, people buy antique quilts all the time. And she said, "Well, I take them down to the ranch where we have a lot of barbecues. And we pull out hay bales and we cover them with the antique quilts, and that's the seating."
Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah.
So, and we have an incredible heritage for quilting using the Singer sewing machine. And there's a lot of handwork plus basket making. There's the white oak baskets. The crate factory is the original one. I actually just noticed that when I was rereading all the documents that Kathleen had sent us about the Lightners. So there's quite a bit of information. And we take all anonymous donations. And if they want it, you know, because there are a lot of people here in our community that really care about the outdoors, nature. And I know that most of the funding is going to be dependent on us, the Friends of Cuscowilla.
Yeah, the senior community, I understand that, you know, it's difficult because they have a more limited income sometime, but people are so generous. And one thing I want to add, I don't know if you can request this for a nonprofit, but WUFT has a program called For the Greater Good, where they feature a nonprofit group and have a brief, it might even be a 30-minute program about the work of the nonprofit, interviewing some of the active leaders, showing the work. And that's another way to get the information into the community and, you know, raise awareness and be a fundraising effort.
Is that radio or TV?
I believe it's TV.
Okay.
On WUFT TV.
And that'll also that's connected to the journalism college at UF.
Right.
We also locally always have the go eat at this place and we'll give them this % on that day. That happens all the time in our community. And, you know, so that's another way to get that fundraising going and because people are going to eat anyway. And then you get that % to go to you.
Right. And we could ask Joel at Paisanos or Satchel at Satch Squared. And he's also got the other Satchel. So
the Northwest Grill is the artist who I'm going to ask to be part of this. So she manages that. She would, you know, that would be a great connection.
Right, right. And I'm reaching out to a lot of my people and asking them for donations. I think we should, I know that we want to also reach out to, what did you call it? Beautify Alachua County, Kathleen, for the coral ardesia and the invasives.
Keep Alachua County beautiful.
Yeah.
And after our recent telephone conversation, Gwen, I did email Lexi Green to let her know that you had seen the coral ardesia and Keep Alachua County beautiful. Their director is Gina Hawkins.
Okay.
They can organize a work day. So
yeah, I just think now that everything's died back and that stuff sticks out like a sore thumb, we need to get it pulled out, because right now it's doing very well. And I was just over at Kanapaha Cemetery. There's a bunch behind that I'm just going to go get a trash can, a black bag, and go pull it, because I can see 10 seedlings coming off this one plant. So you got to do what you can. So when do you think we need to meet again? Do we need to meet in March?
Let's just chat at the February meeting and we'll see where we're at. I think we can, I mean, this was lined up. Kathleen, thank you. This lined up really well for me. And when we do these via Zoom, any Friday, I can carve out an hour.
Okay. Is that when your office hours are, Nicole?
It's my work from home day.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you all.
Yes. Yes. And
thank you.
Thanks everybody. I feel like I'm someone that's on a mission, so please forgive the enthusiasm. But,
I love it.
I know we can get it done. I'm part of the group that actually did the Miracle on 34th Street. You've got the Performing Arts Center and the Butterfly Rainforest and the Harn Museum and all of that. So I know it's possible. Just dream it and it can happen. So
and I'm a northerner. I enjoy this cold weather. I'll have my windows open again tonight. I do every night. I'll have a couple of blankets and I'll have a down comforter and I'll have a cat and I'll be kept warm.
Oh, good, good. Yeah. Looks like you collect old books.
Oh, yes. I've been getting rid of so many books at the Friends of the Library. Yeah, I have too many.
Yeah, I've been collecting quite a few. I'm surrounded by 3 stacks that are just for our meeting alone. So
yeah, I don't know how many. I've taken a couple of hundred books there already. And
well, we thank you, because I know that they make a lot of money, especially in the collector's room, on the more valuable. Yeah,
some of them have turned out to be quite good. The PJ has been very happy.
Good.
So yeah, I try to do all this. I'm trying to simplify my life and perhaps move into a little smaller apartment, but I can't do that until I get rid of some of the clutter. And almost everyone comes to other things from books. Everything has such a story, such a history, such a meaning.
Right.
That I have trouble parting with it.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. Because I have a bunch of books on antique bottles and what's the right antiques, all kinds of different stuff. So yeah. I'm very interested in what we can do. And I would like to be able to share my resources. So I'm very happy we're all trying to work together. So yeah. Thanks everyone for your time. And onward and upward.
Yeah. All right, y'all.
A lot of my nature books have gone to the Alachua Conservation Trust, and they've auctioned them off at their auctions.
Oh, good.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah. Goodbye. Thank you for letting me join in.
Oh, thank you for being here. And everyone stay well.
Yep.